serializers. So we have serializers for link, type link, local date, money, and for our body parameters, our data types here. This all comes from our artifacts. So you don't need to write these serializers by yourself. They come already bundled with our artifacts. The second configuration we need to do is for Kafka. So since we will be sending events today, we also need to register Kafka. So here we are registering a new Kafka topic and broker. We are binding these Spring Boot properties to address and topic name. And we are registering, you can look into it code, but it's pretty simple. Here we are creating an instance of the producer here, and here we are just sending the message. And that's it. This is just some of the utility classes that are to construct an instance of Sizzle Cloud event, which is a wrapper for our Sizzle events. And that is all the configuration you need to do. There is some other configuration like to expose Swagger, but we don't need to go too much into it. So there are other classes here, Jersey, IO, log, model. You don't need to look too much into them. The only thing that I will say is there is this REST spec, and this is taking our Swagger API specification and providing it to you. So you will see this later. We will use this provider through Swagger UI. Security, if you want to secure your application with OAuth, we will not do that today. And that's it. The next step that is left is for us to implement, as we said here, we will implement CRUD functionalities for /parties using Sizzle API. So let's start doing that. So we will, in REST package, we will implement our party service. So here it already is one party service. I will delete it and create a new one. So let's start. First of all, we will create a new class. And that class we will call party service implemented. Let's call it like this. Let's open this class. Okay. Now, we have this class, but how can we use it now to implement Sizzle services? As we said before, in the Sizzle artifact, we have JAX-RS classes that define REST endpoint services. So let's look at for the party. So in REST folder, we provide, in REST package, we provide our REST endpoint templates, and in JAX-RS, we want to implement party service. So we have JAX-RS party service, and you can see here we have the definition for /parties. Let's look how this looks on a web. So we have here party, and these are all the services in party service. All the endpoints and all the methods. As you can see, it's quite big. So you can see it here, all defined here. So we need to implement this interface. That's the first step. So we will put in implements JAX-RS party service. But now Java is complaining something. Let's see what it's complaining. And it says you must implement all the abstract methods. So if you click add unimplemented methods, look how many methods we need to implement. And that is no good. We don't want that. That is too much work if you just want to implement 2-3 methods. So let's use what else is provided in Sizzle adapter. As we said before, for each of these services, there is a default implementations that come in our artifact. So if you click on the impl folder, REST impl, Inside you will see party service adapter, and this contains default implementations for all the party service. So we will copy this name, and in our class that we are implementing, and it says implement JAX-RS party service, we will also extend this party service adapter. You can see it's a class. That implements JAX-RS party service. So we will extend party service adapter. Let's import it. And now Java is no longer complaining. Java sees now that we implemented all the services in JAX-RS party service, and we don't need to implement anything else. Of course, this doesn't work for us. We want to implement /parties, CRUD functionalities for /parties, and we will do it now. So since this is Spring Boot adapter, we are using Spring Boot here because it comes with already included Tomcat server. We don't want to bring our own server, but it's already the one that is included in the Spring Boot adapter. We have to first register this as a component. And now we can start implementing our service. So since we are creating CRUD, we need some kind of database. Unfortunately, we don't have now time for database, but we will create one that is just a map. So private static map. So string will be our ID and party will be our data type. We will call it database is. We will create a new instance of it. We now need to import everything. Okay. So in this database, string is an ID and party is what we want to say. So now let's implement in the service catalog get/parties, which returns array of parties. So from here, from party service adapter, we will just copy this method, put it here. This override is very important. And this is our implementation. So we need to return a list of parties. And we will return new array list of this database dot values. We will just return this. Very simple. So this is we return now everything that is in this database. Now let's try to make another service which is post parties, where we create a new party. So again, we will copy from here post party. Here we have post party, copy it. Oh. And let's create a new party. Okay, so we have here a party coming from our API. So what we're gonna do is we are first gonna set a new ID for this party, and each of the CISL data model has a self, which is, you can think of it as its own ID. So it's of type link. I hope you heard about link in our last training. And we will just create a new link. With a unique value. We will use UID class to create a new random ID. And we will return this party. because this is what it expects, this service. And we also want to save it to this database. So we will use database.put. Now we will use party getSelf, get value. So this will be our key, and we will save this party here. All right. And now we also want to send an event for this, for creation of the party. So what we're going to do is we are going to use party created event. Again, comes from our artifact, and we will call it event new. We will not create a new party, but we will use parties factory. We will use factory instance dot create party created. So we create a new event, and inside of this event we will set this party that is here, that we have been created. You see it, set it here. And now we want to create a Sizzle Cloud event, which is a web wrapper for each of the events of Sizzle. So Sizzle Cloud event, Sizzle Cloud event. And we will use a class in Kafka config, a method in Kafka config that is creating Sizzle Cloud event here. So first of all, we will auto-wire an instance of this. And we will use this create Sizzle Cloud event method, which event accepts Sizzle event inside. And then we will send this. So we will use Kafka config, send message, this Sizzle Cloud event here. That's it. So what are we doing here? We are creating a party. We are adding it a unique ID, saving to the database, sending an event that we created the party, and we return it. So here in application, I set up my Kafka broker address and my Kafka broker topic. Here I have a GUI where we can look these events. So as you can see, currently there is no events, no topics and no events created. So now we'll start our application. All right, application is started. So now we go and check the Swagger, localhost 8090/Swagger. So this is the address that we exposed here, /Swagger. Okay, before this, we forgot to register this service. So in Jersey configuration, we need to register this service. So we go register endpoints, and we will register, the name is party service implemented. Okay, we registered it now. Let's restart the application. So since we're running short on time, we will not implement other CRUD functionalities. I will just show you this, how this one that we implemented works. All right, so we register again. Refresh the Swagger, and here we have party, as you can see. So we open it, and these are all the services that are here. So we implemented get parties. We click on it. You see all the query parameters for it. We will not use any of these query parameters. We currently haven't implemented them, but we will try to see what we get when we execute it, and we get response body, which makes sense because database here is empty. So let's first create something in post party. So we will go to post parties and try it out. So first of all, we need to now send a JSON. So each Sizzle JSON has a class ID. So class ID, and here we set that we want, this is of type parties, and if you look at our documentation, you will see that party is an interface. It says interface, but it has two children, company and person. So we will create a person. So here we have to specify that we are creating a person. Com alien Sizzle for person dot and we will set it first name. Let's put John. So let's create this. We will send it. And we got what we created. So class ID person, first name John. Gender is a data list which has default value currently, and there is a self. So this is the generated self that we get generated here in code. Now let's look at our events. If you refresh, we see that there is a new topic test. We click on it, partition 0, and here is our event. So you can see type party created, and there is the party that we created. And here is some metadata, data content type, ID, source, time, type. And that is it. So now let's only try to see a get. So since we created this party, we should see it in our get parties service. So again, get parties, let's try it. Execute. And here we have one party that we created, that we get from our get. Sorry for, we don't have time to implement other CRUD functionalities, but I hope this was clear enough to see how you can use our template adapters and how you can use our artifact and have your Sizzle service in 5-10 minutes and send events. Thank you for listening. Questions will be later after Bernd's presentation. All right, I don't know how to stop this. All right.
Okay, thank you, Christian. Oh, perfect. I'm moderator. Okay, I share my screen now. So, hello. Hello, my name is Bernd Landau. I'm also developer in the Sizzle team. And today I'm going to show you how you can develop a Sizzle provider with using TypeScript, Node, and Express.js as the frameworks. First of all, is the sound okay and working fine?
Perfect,
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. It will be very similar to what we did with Christian now in the Java part, mostly because also the artifacts we have in TypeScript are very similar to what we have in JAX-RS, Jackson, and so on. So we have split it up into, we have a Sizzle Express TypeScript artifacts, which describes the Express routes and resource definitions that we have in Sizzle, just like targeted for an Express JS environment with TypeScript notations. Then we have the Sizzle TypeScript model artifact, which contain all the models, all the entities in there, and so on. And in addition to that, we have the event model, which gives you access to all the other additional event entities we have. Like if you create a party, you get the created party created event out of this. Since we don't have yet adapter, like ready to go adapter set up for the TypeScript environment in Node and Express, we'll set up a very basic one as an initial step. And then we try to also implement the other CRUD functionalities with the party service. And in the end, if we have time, we also try to do a publish of one of those events. The code for all of this you can find on the demo group on our GitLab. Okay, then I guess it's time for the demo. Okay, let's share what we have. So, setup. So first of all, I will browse you through the setup we have here with this is simple Node Express TypeScript application. So we have set up here already the package JSON. Most important thing is, of course, the resources, dependencies we have. We have Express, TypeScript, something where we can create a UID if we save a class in our Sizzle post service as well. Then we have the Sizzle dependencies here, all the artifacts. And since we are using TypeScript, here, we also have this script here where we say like npm, where we can say npm start, and it like transpiles down the TypeScript code into JavaScript code and starts the application. Also important is, of course, the TypeScript configuration, that we want our application to read every source code we write from the source directory and output it in the distribution folder. Quickly into the source folder, we prepared already here like a controller folder where all the Sizzle controllers will go into, like prepared something for middlewares if we want to develop them, and also like for more back-end related tasks, kind of services. The super basic setup we have here with Express is simply like importing Express, it's like creating an Express application, giving an import, some JSON middlewares that the JSONs are correctly parsed, and then we listen to the port and the application is started. So before, that you are aware of, before you can actually get access to the dependencies here, you might have to configure your npm or npm-rc and need to log in either your Nexus you have locally in your environment, where they have a proxy to our Nexus, or you can also log in directly into our Nexus by using npm login. And the command would be looking something like this, which means npm login. For this scope, please download the resources from that repository, which we provide. I will not do this right now because it might take some time, and I already have it in my npm-rc. Your npm-rc would, in the end, will get this entry added, which tells it like what I just said. It's basically for this scope, get your artifacts from that repository.
Bernd, sorry for interrupting. With some requests, if possible, in whatever tool you are, if you can increase or zoom in, increase the font size or zoom in whenever possible. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me know if this. Whoa. For some weird reason, it doesn't want to work here. That's sorry. Sorry, it kind of doesn't want to do it. Let's try zoom. Come on. I think WebEx
Somebody
is
in the
tricking me
chat,
in some...
yes, somebody in the chat just shared that the shortcut doesn't work if you are sharing the screen.
Nice. Okay. That is wonderful. Thank you.
You could try to stop sharing the screen and zoom in and then reshare.
Oh, wait a second. I have another idea.
It is blocked by WebEx.
No. It's even better. If you have two monitors and you share the screen, it doesn't allow you to do it on the shared screen, but you can like move it around to the other screen, zoom in, and move back.
Thank you for the trick, Bernd.
Okay, perfect. So, okay, we were by npm login. So this would give you then access to our repository, and for the other things to add it to your npm, to your package JSON, you would just npm install those artifacts, and they will pop up in your package JSON. So, and then you have it in here. So now that we installed them, like previously, they are in here, and you can go into your node modules and see those artifacts in here. We implemented with Christian already the party service, and one of the other services you should get used to implementing in Sizzle is a kind of an info service, and that's the first one we're going to try to look at. In the Express TypeScript artifact, you have the setup, and you have all of the controllers we just saw before on Christian's side. Same structure here. Since we want to take a look at the info controller first, we have an abstract info controller here that does the same functionality as we have with the implementation classes in Jackson and JAX-S. And in here you have it defined like this is the resource for get info, and you can override this service to implement it. It also includes all the typed information for the parameters in this request. So whenever somebody makes a get call to info, you have this get info request object, which also contains the path and query parameter information. That's quite useful. If you want to go into detail, you can also look at the transpiled JavaScript codes, how it's mapped and how it's functioning in there. As we saw here, in this case, the response that we defined is this info class, which gives us a link to, if it's finally loading. Maps to like the TypeScript model artifact and the class there. Okay, takes too long. So we can go also in here. We have Sizzle, then we have base, the info class, and there's the info class definition in here as well. So you can have a look at that. And there you see like it gives you all the benefits you will get from TypeScript and in combination with our types defined in Sizzle. So, okay, let's start actually implementing now. So in here, this is our base class, and first of all, I would say let's start implementing the info controller. For this, we create in the source in controllers, we can create a new info controller TS, and we're gonna do an export export class info controller, and this extends from the abstract, if I can type. Loading. Okay, this is weird that it takes so long today. Okay, I will copy it from my prepared set. So this is how you would extend or start implementing one of the controllers in TypeScript. Should find the import. That is weird. Okay, then we have to do it manually. So we saw in the type definition before. Now it works. Hello. Okay, then we have it to do it like that. That's not a problem of the artifact itself. It's just apparently my computer is very slow at the moment for these things. Perfect. Now it has been loaded everything into my IDE, and I can check it out what happens. So the info controller, the abstract info controller we extend from, has all the methods we need. So there's this get info class, which we need to implement to expose the service or to implement the service. So usually I go in here into the service I want to implement, copy these sets because for some reason the Visual Studio Code doesn't autocomplete that. And then we say like, okay, it's public, probably asynchronous, and we want to return something. So right now it tells me, okay, I'm not returning anything right now. So what we want to do is return an info object. And for this, we can make use of all the artifacts we have in the TypeScript model. We say info new info implementation, and would say return response JSON info class, which would return now an empty info set. But we want to do a bit more. We will give some information about your application. In this case, we have a demo, and the application version would be something along the line with version 1, let's say. So we save that one. Now it's implemented, but we still need to register it in our application to make use of that. So after we prepared the first middlewares here, we can do const info controller, new info controller that we implemented. Then he asks us to import that one, and we say app use, give him a base route where we want to add this controller. We want to add the controller under the /API, and say info controller, register your router, which is with the get router, basically all the route mappings are exposed of the controller. We save that one, and now we start the application and see what happens. I hope this is a bit faster than the IDE issue I had before. So application has been started up, and now under my local host port info, I should see this information. Perfect. And you see what's very important, since we use the implementation classes, like with new info impl, like all the class IDs are automatically set up and configured. So next, we also kind of want minimal error handling in there in case some exception has been thrown. I will quickly show you as well how you can do something like this. So we can create an error middleware and register it. Because the express TypeScript artifact has kind of a minimal error handling involved that it wraps the object. So where do we have that? That will just be a quick copy paste action here. In here, Express already gives you the functions to register middlewares and handle based on errors or exceptions. So what we make use of this in here and say, okay, we have an error handler, and whenever an error occurs, we want to wrap it inside a validation result. We also register this as well with app use error handler. Oh, actually error middleware here. Middleware. Perfect. So it's registered, and we could say now, instead of actually returning something, we say throw new error test, restart the application, and instead of a JSON response we should get back, we will see now a JSON response of an error, of a validation result. And we see it here, and that's like how the defaulting has implemented now. You have the message test, and it's an internal error. Good. Now to the actual fun part and implementing the party. So for this, as you can guess, we need, as Christian had, a kind of a database where we store this information and where we can fetch and set the UIDs as well. So for this, I prepared a party service that handles all those tasks. Copy it over in here and go quickly through this. As we had before, we have as well a map with a string and a party. And for, let's say, we have various methods here, like get parties, get party, a create party, a delete party, and an update party. And we're going to use those methods. But first, let's create the party controller. Let's also export class party controller. Extends the abstract. Extends the abstract party controller with all its methods. I probably made a typo here. Perfect. So, okay. And now we will see that this method has a couple of more, like this class has more methods, and we're gonna use everything that's like related to party in like the basic sense. So we want to implement get parties, which is the resource for getting get parties. We also want to have the resource for post. Oh, okay. Go here. Does not. Events, TypeScript, controllers. Then we go to party. We have the party controller here. I should type more often. So, and this is the method signature of the get parties method, and we're going to use that. Copy it over here. Again, we add public async because it will be an asynchronous function, and use that one. So now we import all the necessary objects we have in here with party response resource that comes from Express. And let's start. Okay. He still complains that we have not finished. We have not entered the return yet. But first we should set up like the database as we did before. So for this, we can do a in the constructor, we will instantiate the party service. What did we say? This party service. Party service, perfect. That needs to be imported. Here property, perfect. So, and since we already have the party service, here it's mostly the case. We just return response, JSON response, this party service dot get parties. Maybe do it a bit in a better way to have like const parties here, parties. But at the moment, this will only give us an empty result and it will not change because the post is missing. Post will work similarly as we did before. So copy it over now. Okay. So even here we have like this party request, party promise, and so on. So usually always a good thing is if you have like get some data in, you can check like if the class ID matches or some parameters or some fields you want to validate, because we have every definition mapped in TypeScript, you can simply say request.body. This will now be the party resource. So you could check, for example, on the agent number, privacy flag, and so on, whatever is required here. I will do now a quick check if I post something that has a class ID or not, just to be sure that we don't post anything without a class ID. Perfect. So now that we, in this post, receive the party, and now we need to store that in the party service. We create one here, and this would be request body. This will return the party created party, and this is the object we want to return to the client. Party, perfect. Again, we have to register, create the service in the main file of the application. You could also implement something in here that like loops through all the controllers in the folder and auto registers them, if you like. Controller, new party controller. And we also make use of this. Perfect. So now let's restart the application again and see what's happening. Perfect. So if we open up now API get parties, we'll see an empty array. Yes. Good. Where's my curl I want to make? Perfect. So now we implemented the get and the post. For posting, I will quickly do a curl here to the endpoint, and it will return me. So in here, I make a post to the party service, say content type JSON, and the raw data will be some class ID. In this case, it's company. I say name it's Tom's company, Tom's business, and it will return me the object that has been stored plus the self. And then now we should see in the service, in the GET request, also Tom's company here as well. Okay. It's like post, get. Now we want to also do some minimal filtering here in the GET request, because it's quite useful if you have lots of data, you want to filter something. So for this, we gonna create a quick filter object, filter empty, and in case of we have request.query parameter, First, here we check if we have the query parameter, of type name, and then we would add that in here to like a new filter object, say name request.query name, and we want it as a string because it's in Express.js. It could have multiple different values, either a string or a string array. And we will hand over the filter to this party service. So this is just to give you an idea that like all the query parameters and path parameters are there and you can use them. So if I would query request.params, does it not autocomplete? No, okay. Okay, let's continue. So we have the filter set up. Now we're gonna add a bit more of data in there that you can see that the filter is implemented. So instead of Tom's company, we probably need something like a test company. Restart the application again. This will, of course, clean the database. We make an again the post request there. Do another post request with another data with test. Now both of them should be in here, and as a query parameter is implemented with type name. Right now we have two entries with Tom and test, and now I want to filter Tom, and I only get Tom, or with test, I should get test, or if I keep it away, I should get the full result again. Okay, to delete something, it will be very similar. To implement this, let's close that one and this one and concentrate on the delete, which will give us, so method signature will be very similar. So we have a delete party. Over here, perfect. The method signature looks very similar. It has again its own request object here. Say this party service, party request.params, party ID. Now we have it. And this would delete, of course, the object in our database, and we return, let's say, with response status 204 and send it out. Wrong tab here. Start the application again. Okay. Let's get the curl again here. So we added a tester again. We have this ID now, and we want to delete that. So at the moment, if you look here, the test company is here. And if we send out this delete request, then it should be deleted and no longer available to us. And it's gone. Okay, now I think now the use case of like all of these methods is pretty clear. We will jump into publishing events because the events types are also in there and we have them available. So for this, whenever we want to, let's say, whenever we create a party over the web service, we want to communicate to somebody else or someone else that's registered on an event platform that this event has been, this party has been created. So for this, we have prepared a small Kafka service. Let's call it event service. which handles the creation for us, and it uses the event TypeScript event model artifacts. So what this does, like, it is typical TypeScript class with a constructor that registers to a Kafka broker. And in the send create party event method, we just create the producer, connect to it, create this provided party created event, set our the party we created into the party object, and publish it to a Kafka broker. Just to give you an idea that also those events are available and around. So this service. Let's import that one. So we send out to anyone who's registered to a certain topic that this event has been created, this party has been created. As we had before, there's like already, like at the moment, Kafka installed locally on my machine with a Kafka kafdrop, which is like a small web UI that you can check out and see what is happening on Kafka itself. Sometimes it takes really long. Okay. Now we send again like a post message, and it should publish a new message on Kafka. First one, second one, third one, fourth one. Okay. Now let's show the messages. And they have been created now in this topic, which is the type, like the SYSL type information we have on all those events. And you see I created multiple tester companies in here. Okay. That's like the end of the live demo here. I will quickly switch back to the presentation to make a quick recap on this. So what's important if you do those TypeScript providers, make sure that you have your NPM and NPM RCs configured. Set up the package.json TypeScript configuration in a correct way that you have access to those artifacts. In case you don't have a Nexus proxy from your local environment, you can use like a direct login with the credentials, with your personal credentials, and don't forget to install the artifacts. The controllers or the controllers we provide are very, very similar to what we have in Java. So you have like the abstract classes or implementations classes where you can override certain methods and everything else would be unimplemented. Next one would be, don't forget to register your controllers into the Express middleware, into the Express service. Otherwise, it will not work. Don't forget, we provide this over the getRouter method. And at least we also have the option to publish events to other, let's say, RabbitMQ or Kafka, and provide event artifacts. Okay, thank you. I think it's now time for the Q&A session, correct?
Thank you, Bernd, very much. Indeed, it is the time for the Q&A. Sharing, all right. So, before we start, I would be gladly, so there's one question which is coming again and again and again. So, all the material you've seen today, the SYSL demo projects, unfortunately, we realized they are private, right? So the demo projects which you've seen today, the PowerPoint presentation, the URLs which you've seen during the presentation today will be shared with all of you, right? We'll send a mass email. Sorry for the spam. It will be only one, we promise. But we will send you an email with all the information, notifying whenever everything access is given. Okay? If you have any questions, please raise your hand in WebEx. We'll gladly answer, or chat. Let's see. If there is a conflict, so Ivaras, please, you raise your hand. Go ahead. Ivaras?
Yeah, sorry, I have two mutes. Anyway, so I'm generating code, Sizzle code from YAML file generated by Cosmonaut. So I pick and choose which endpoints and which methods I expose. And now I saw that in Java example, all of the methods are exposed, even though implemented was only one method. So is there an easy way to hide everything except what I implement?
Yes.
And well, how to do it? The question is how to do it.
Thank you, Ivaras. Actually, I answered to your question in the chat. I can open it right now again and show to everyone. Where is the link? All right. So I've sent a link in the chat. So you can add a predicate.
Yeah, I see it now. Thanks.
To filter the endpoints which you want to show and ones which you don't. Basically, if you return true, the endpoint will be shown. If it returns false, it will be skipped. Right? In this case, is a simple example with properties, file, not even properties file, a file containing a list of endpoints you want to share. All right?
Yep, thanks.
Pleasure. Any other questions? Let's see. Until people raise their hands, we can read in the chat. Okay. So I could not access ExpressJS, for example. So Tom, yes, Tom, we will share everything by email. If you don't have an account to Git, you shouldn't use ABS API WP Guest. Everybody has an account automatically created when they create an account on our website. If you did that recently, you can try to see if you have any emails from GitLab in your spam folder or in your inbox. If you did that a long time ago, try to reset your password to forget password. If it still doesn't work, just let us know. Might be that there was some error and your account just has to be activated. Normally, all accounts are automatically created. All right. Next. All right. Have you shown us party service? Yes. Right. Bernd, I think it was for you a question. I think it was just an example. Bernd?
Yes, yes.
Have you shown
like
us a party service? Yes.
Yeah. I can share.
Of course.
Oh, perfect. So this is the party service TS, which is basically nothing more than like a map in here. We have like string and party as a key and value. And for the post, we do something similar. What Christian did is for the self, we create a UID for it, store it in the party, set this value into the map and return the party again. Then it's in our small mock database. For the get parties, like in case if we added a filter here, we do some processing to filter out the parties that match the conditions. If not, we say, okay, create an array out of the values you have in this map. For the delete, it's pretty much delete with a certain key. For update, it's overwriting, and for a simple get, it would be get by the self ID we created before. Yeah, that's it. And then on there you have certain checks if the party we received is either a person or a company, in the case we need that. Yeah. Anything else on that?
All right. I think Kai is asking what is the configuration towards the backend. So Kai, this is a demo adapter, right? So if you would take this as a template, you'll have to add your own configuration. This case is showing how to implement the API layer, so service layer, and the events if you want to publish events or consume, but it doesn't show the integration with the backend because that would be your job to do, depending on the backend you are using.
Right now, it was really focused mostly on the controllers that you see and experience the artifacts, what kind of features they provide with path parameters, query parameters, that you have the TypeScript definition types in there, and how you can simply start implementing those endpoints.
All right, let's continue to do the questions. That will also be for you. So thank you, Kai. Again, if you have any other question related to this, please don't hesitate to send an email or write another comment here. Okay? Chen Gwen is asking, is there a Confluent Kafka config also available in TypeScript?
That I don't know. I did not yet work with Confluent, so there are Kafka artifacts there that you can use in TypeScript to publish something. For example, in here we use the Kafka JS one, which is actually a Node artifact, guessing by the name, but includes already TypeScript definitions that you can use.
All right. Let's continue to the next question. Shafik. If a resource doesn't have the fields which we need to be implemented, what should be done? For example, if we have a combination of strings and integers as a key and we would like to implement the resource archive. Okay, so the way Sizzle works is we do design the APIs together with your feedback, we share it with everyone, but if you have any questions, any missing fields which you need, you can contact the Sizzle team via our Jira. You would create a Jira ticket, Jira issue, and just explain your request, what is missing, what fields are missing, what fields do you need. Either our business analyst will help you identify those fields, or they will provide a design them, and deliver them. If the fields are designed in Sizzle Core, it's up to a week, because Sizzle Core is released every Wednesday. If it's in extensions, it can be the same day. Our current average is 8 hours for extensions. So 8 hours on Sizzle side, working hours on Sizzle side. So if your requirement, your description of requirement, so your request is clearly defined, clearly explained, the average is 8 hours to delivery of artifacts. If the answer was not clear enough, you can raise the hand or you can add an additional comment. Perfect. Let's continue. Sergio Zanardo, is there some sample for C#.NET? So maybe Christian, you can answer this.
Well, we have a .NET framework and .NET Core artifacts, but if you mean adapter sample, no, we do not have.
All right, we could take it in account for adding a demo project for .NET to share with you, so to show how to use artifacts, if that is interesting for you. All right. I hope that would help, Sergio. If not, again, please leave a comment or raise your hands and be free to speak. All right. Okay. Configuration table. Is it possible to Madeline? Is it possible to change the order of the attributes that are shown in the response? Are you referring to the attributes, serialized attributes, deserialized attributes, or in the Swagger spec?
I mentioned this of the serialized attributes. If it's possible to change the order.
No. Yeah, thank you for. No, by default, no, it's not possible, and JSON format doesn't define any. Say the order is not important. I'll say like this. But by default, the serializer doesn't have order. The order is the order of encountered fields in the object. Which would be serialized.
Okay, thank you.
So eventually what we could do is to manage the order of the fields when we generate the code. That would be possible, but that would give you only a guarantee that if these fields are encountered in that order, the serializer would eventually serialize it in that order. All right? Perfect. Any other questions? Maybe I missed some, or we missed. Have been a lot. Please don't hesitate to raise your hand. Maybe you didn't understand something, or you just want to confirm that you understood, or don't be shy.
Hi, and would you be also be able to show us something on extensions that was talked about the other day?
Extensions. Yeah, not sure if we can include it today, but so
we could do it in the next session if it's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we could try to include it in the next session or make another session for going advanced, because we've seen some more questions on more advanced level. We will be happy to eventually organize a different session to share this with you. Right? Perfect. Right. Security from Shefek. Sorry, Ivaras, 2 seconds. Shefek has a priority here. Is there a chance to show how to configure the security? You do have an example, Shefek, inside the Sizzle adapter. So again, if you go to the Sizzle project, I'll try to share this with you here. You go to adapters, you could.
Jon,
yeah,
you're not sharing at the moment.
Oh, I'm really sorry. My apologies. I need to take the privileges right again. Q and yes, share my screen. All right. So if you go to Sizzle project, this one is shared with everyone. You will see boot adapter or Jackson, and when you go there, you will see configuration for Spring Security. So I'm not sure here. you can go and check all classes you might need. So we do not use in our adapters any configuration, any, let's say, in-house built artifacts for security. We do use the standard Spring Security. All right. In Java, yes, it was in Java, so perfect. Okay, next one will be Ivaras.
Yes, I've asked this question in the chat, but I didn't find the answer to it. This is more out of curiosity. Why don't you provide default implementation in Java interface rather than have a separate abstract or concrete class? Is it some...
because it was created, so yeah, we could have done it with default methods in Java 8, but the artifacts were created before, when Java 8 was not yet widely used in the group, right? So although some OEs, some were already on Java 8, some were still dependent on Java 7. So our goal was to support everyone as much as possible, right? So this is why we created this pattern with a mock implementation instead of adding default methods in interfaces. Additionally, I think there was a question also, why do we implement that interface when we have implementation classes? You don't have to, it's just a reference to be clearly visible when you look at the implementation. If you extend the adapter, which is a mock implementation of a service, of an interface, JAX-RS interface, you can, you don't need that, because that mock implementation already implements that interface. Does this answer to your question?
Yes, thanks.
Perfect. Okay, next. Ivan Silva, for a training request, what is the minimum number of trainees you would need to schedule a new advanced training? One. We don't have a number of trainees. It is not charged per trainee. There is no minimum, there is no maximum, right? We are not charged per trainee. CISL has no license model. All trainings, this training is free. If there's a request coming from an OE, eventually, if there is already a common project, will be, if the training is 2 hours, will be 2 hours of work charged to the OE, which will be 0.5% or 0.425%. Does that answer to your question, Ivan? Let me see. Yes, thank you. Perfect. Next question, Tom. I failed to reset password for my Git account. Who should I contact for you for support? You can always write an email to CISL@Allianz.at. So write an account, somebody will answer you for sure. All right? This is the simplest way to do it. Perfect. Or you can also open click on feedback on our website. And you can go to CISL.Allianz.at, which will redirect you to CISLAPI.com. You always have a feedback button. So you can go to tools as well, and build session, click on feedback and say git account, write a message and submit. All right? This will create automatically a Jira support ticket on our site, which guarantees that nobody will forget the email. All right? We try not to do that, but eventually might happen. All right. Any other questions? Okay, we're getting shy in that case. We are close to the end, so I guess we'll say we will do a wrap up now. So our next sessions are developing a Sizzle consumer on Monday 26th. Please go and subscribe if you are interested in that session. We will take into account all your feedback from today. We would also take into account an eventuality to create an additional, more advanced session or based on your feedback to go in more details. All right. Sizzle Hackathon is coming 18 to 20 of May. And if you want to see any additional events, just go to sizzleapi.community. Please don't forget to give us as much feedback as you can. We will always take into account your feedback. We will include it. Any sessions are made for you and are designed based on your feedback. Thank you very much. Last
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So for Atanas, well, Nexus account is not the Sizzle account and it's not created automatically. You have to write an email to sizzle@allianz.it. We will create in that case a Nexus account. All right. Perfect. Bitteschön.